Today, we're going to be talking about a lot of Five Nights at Freddy's theories and hoaxes throughout the years. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to find every single one because it would be nearly impossible for me to do that, but I'll be tackling down some of the more popular and interesting ones. The way this video is going to be structured is in a way that we'll first talk about the games, which theories were popularized, then talk about the various hoaxes surrounding it. Also, if I get something wrong, this whole series has hundreds of videos of people trying to explain the lore, which is honestly extremely confusing at times. If you notice I said something wrong or disagree with a theory, leave a comment down below about your own interpretation of what actually happened. Conversations and debates in the comments are always welcome. Now, without wasting any more time, grab a Freddy Fazbear pizza slice, relax, and let's start off this video with the very first FNAF fan game that started it all off. I'll be honest, I don't think Scott expected his game to blow up, nor did he have an actual story to work off of other than haunted animatronics in a pizzeria. There are slight mentions of lore within the phone calls, such as the bite of 87 and children going missing. But as many of you know, as more games progressed, the more confusing the timeline got. And I won't even be talking about the books since those hurt my head too much. One of the most popular mysteries that came from the first game was the bite of 87. At this point in the series, all we knew is that there was this restaurant called Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria, with there only being 4 animatronics. Those being the iconic Chica, Bonnie, Freddy, and Foxy animatronics. Not including Golden Freddy, and don't worry, I'll be talking about you soon. Many people theorize that the one responsible for the bite was none other than Foxy, and there was some actual evidence leading us to him. For one, Pirate's Code was shown to be out of order, as well as Foxy's model within the first game being quite damaged. So we know that for some reason they had to shut down his stage, which this theory states was because he was the reason that someone's frontal lobe was bitten off. You know, the whole front part of your squishy little brain, you kinda need that. Although the real culprit for the bite of 87 hasn't technically ever been confirmed officially, and is still debated on to this day, it was most likely done by an animatronic still not introduced to the series yet. Although many assumed that Foxy was responsible during this time, there were also some that thought Freddy himself was the reason for the bite. In the East Hall on Cam 4B, there are some rules for safety. Most of these being the usual normal rules such as don't run, don't yell, don't poop on the floor for some reason, but the one that's really specific is rule number 6. Don't touch Freddy. It doesn't say don't touch the animatronics, no. It specifically states don't touch Freddy. There are also these supposed handprints on his face as well, with the green showing them much clearer. Looking at the positioning of these so-called handprints, it looks like someone trying to open up his jaw while they're inside of his mouth. Once again, he most likely isn't the culprit either, due to an animatronic that hasn't been introduced yet. Go away, I'll talk about you later. I love how this theory about Freddy being the culprit tries to also explain why Freddy wouldn't be thrown away even if they were responsible, due to him being the mascot. Since he is literally the brain of the restaurant, it would be difficult to just throw him away without causing many issues. I'll give more reasons as to why Foxy and Freddy couldn't be responsible later on when talking about the second game. Back to Foxy though. Sorry to all you Foxy fans, but Foxy is not a good guy. This was actually one of, if not the very first theory that I heard about the game. People were making theories that Foxy was actually a good person, as within the Foxy jump scare, he does not actually attack you, but rather just peeks within your office. People were claiming that since he does not directly attack you and has a unique game over animation, that instead of directly killing you, what actually happens is that Foxy runs into your office to warn you or even protect you from the other animatronics, but your character gets so scared due to Foxy's voice box malfunctioning, which results in you having a heart attack. It's a dumb theory, admittedly, that somehow many people stuck by. Until the second game, where it's obvious he does not care about the player at all. With this jump scare also sparking a different theory, but I'll talk about that later in the future. This next theory is understandable and is honestly still debated to this day, which is Golden Freddy is a hallucination. Obviously, we now know about Fredbear, which was one of the two original animatronics, and Springlock suits, but during the time of FNAF 1, Golden Freddy was something that was extremely different from all the other animatronics. He was limp from not having any endoskeleton inside of him, with his jump scare not being like the others at all, just appearing on your screen before causing your game to crash. There was also the fact that he could appear in your office even if both of the doors were closed shut, which many people assumed meant he was a ghost or a hallucination, as well as his poster changing when you check it on the cameras. Though this would later be proven false, or quote-unquote proven false, since he could tweak his AI in the custom night within FNAF 2. People say that since he could change his AI, that just proves that he's a real animatronic, but that's not really the case here. Within FNAF 3, I know I'm mentioning new games, but hear me out. FNAF 3, in its custom night, you could change the difficulty of every single animatronic, including the phantoms. These animatronics are not real, and are definitely hallucinations, so the whole AI generation of the custom nights doesn't really disprove anything. But it is still weird since if the phantoms attack you, it'll mess up the vent, camera, and audio systems, but won't actually be able to end your game. Golden Freddy, however, does end your game, so what's the deal with that? It's later revealed that Fredbear was actually one of the first animatronics created, so it's a physical suit. But then how is it able to have those supernatural powers in the first two games? All the other animatronic suits are haunted, but still have to walk around since their souls moving around in a machine. They could be completely different too, since Fredbear also has a purple hat, while Golden Freddy has a black one, meaning these two could potentially have no correlation with each other at all, other than the golden fur color. All you need to know is that Golden Freddy is most likely either a hallucination or a spirit, with the latter being more plausible since multiple people seeing the same hallucination isn't likely, with Golden Freddy also not being the same animatronic as Fredbear. I can't believe I'm also using this game, but in FNAF World, Golden Freddy and Fredbear are also two different characters. So boom. Theory solved. Kinda. The next theory has to do with the phone guy, my favorite character in the whole series, who tragically passed away by being killed by Freddy. At least that's what most people believe is what happened. Within the night 4 phone call, this is what happens.
Oh, hey, wow, day 4. I knew you could do it. Hey, listen, I may not be around to send you a message tomorrow. It's been a bad night here for me. I'm kind of glad that I recorded my messages for you when I did. Hey, do me a favor. Maybe sometime you could check inside those suits in the back room. I'm going to try to hold out until someone checks. Maybe it won't be so bad. I always wondered what was in all those empty heads back there. You know. Oh no.
He's probably fine. So before we can say what this theory is, let's talk about what we definitely know is true. The phone guy was killed by an animatronic because of the loud scream that we get being the same one we hear every time we get jump scared. At least, it should be. Here's the sound of the scream within the phone call again. Here's the scream of the animatronics jump scaring us. And here is the scream of Golden Freddy scaring us. See the noticeable differences between them? Golden Freddy's scream is very much unique compared to all the other animatronics. That's not all though. This groan can also be heard like someone in pain.
Oh no.
But this sound can only be made by either Bonnie or Chica whenever they're near the office. Along with the groaning, we hear the banging of the doors, which is something that Foxy is known to do when you close the doors on him before he reaches your office. There was also the iconic music that could be heard, which very much is to Dora March that Freddy Fazbear himself is known for. He plays it when the power goes out before jump scaring you. So, with all of this, the sound of Golden Freddy screaming, Bonnie and Chica groaning, Foxy most likely banging on a door, along with Freddy's music box playing in the background. Who killed the phone guy? Well, in my opinion, what happened was this. The phone guy was in the office much like the player, but was running low on power. As the phone guy was checking the cameras, he notices Foxy gone from the Pirate Cove and shuts the left door, causing his already limited power to continue to drain. Freddy somehow notices this and begins to walk closer to the office with the iconic music box playing. Chica and Bonnie are also nearing the office, and that's when we hear the groaning. If we're doing this scenario based on the in-game mechanics, Chica was on the right door with Bonnie being on the left, forcing the phone guy to have to lock both of these doors down. Foxy, Freddy, Chica, and Bonnie are now at the office doors, waiting to get in. Somehow knowing or understanding that if they just stood outside, the power would run out, and that's when they could attack. We don't hear the doors open though, or the sound of the power going out, which is a very distinct sound. Instead of the power disappearing, all we hear is Golden Freddy. Do I think Golden Freddy was the one who killed the phone guy? Probably not. It's only a hallucination that somehow multiple people could see. It would be weird for hallucination to be able to be heard through a phone call recording. But if they were a spirit with supernatural abilities, they can manifest in the real world, which results in two different theories that I have. The first one, both of these doors are closed and Golden Freddy manifests within the office, something he's already known for. The phone guy was just checking the cameras, panicking already due to the animatronics outside the office, which is when he looks down and sees his Golden Freddy suit. It's limp, with no endoskeleton at all inside of him. Wondering how this random animatronic he most likely never saw before suddenly showed up in his office, with none of the doors being open. Staring at it for too long in understandable confusion, trying to process this information, Golden Freddy attacks him, resulting in a scream we hear at the end of the phone call. The second theory is that Golden Freddy is a spirit, scares the phone guy, and causes both doors to open at the same time. Now, we never saw Golden Freddy being able to manifest this kind of power of interacting with real-world objects within this game, but in this scenario, let's just assume he's able to open the doors or cause the power to drain instantly, allowing every single animatronic within the office, resulting in the true culprit being literally all of the animatronics. These are just my takes on what happened. There are countless other theories trying to explain why it's only one of the other animatronics, so if you think it's someone else, leave a comment down below on who and why you think it's them. Me personally, I do feel like Golden Freddy was probably the culprit just due to his scream at the end and the fact that we don't hear the doors open at all. Going back to Golden Freddy again, there are quite a few theories trying to explain what exactly happened with the phone guy's body. We were told that the animatronics within this game see us as an endoskeleton and want to put us within an empty suit, which is why they attack us. The reason why they attack us changes drastically in the future entries, but let's talk about that later. One of the more popular theories was that since Golden Freddy's limp due to them not having an endoskeleton inside of him, he was completely empty inside and would be able to have a body put within it. If Golden Freddy was real and not a hallucination, we're going to be coming back to this hallucination theory a lot within this video, so please stop haunting me, you monster. It would make sense since this suit would most likely be based on the original Fredbear spring-lock suit, designed to let a human adult fit inside. But the Golden Freddy isn't actually a spring-lock suit, since you could see from the fingers and the toes, it's not built to have a regular person to fit inside. Now that we talked about the more popular FNAF theories out there, let's start talking about the hoaxes. You probably remember this small incident called the Bite of 87. It's only slightly popular within the community.
Was that the Bite of 87?
I'll find any excuse to put that clip in my videos. So what people started to do was within the custom night, they would put 1987, 1987 to change the difficulty of each animatronic. and some people claimed that if you beat that night on that specific difficulty, then a secret ending would be revealed to the player, which wasn't true at all. But on the 1.3 update, Scott changed it so Golden Freddy would jump scare you and crash the game if you put this code in. Is this hidden lore? Does this mean anything more than a troll to mess with players trying to understand the game? Is Scott Cawthon even a real person? To be honest, I can't answer any of those since I have no idea. Anyways, there was also the 0666 difficulty, or just put all 6s instead, to enable the kitchen's camera, which in game is just audio. And once again, this was just fake. Even in the game's code, there was no files or images that showed what's in the kitchen, so there was probably no intent of ever revealing what's in the kitchen at all. Now, for a hoax even I thought was real at the time, and that was the Sparky the dog animatronic. Me doing my little bit of digging found this Reddit post which led to this Tumblr blog, which led to a bunch of sources showing the origins of this hoax. Now, a lot of these links were deleted, most likely due to people finding out the screenshots were faked, and not wanting backlash from them. Thankfully, they did talk about what was in a lot of these links so we could have an understanding of what was going on. So, there was this user called CodiaBear, who I'll just be referring to as Koala Bear, since that's just easier to say. They were one of the first people that would talk about how there was some sort of broken dog animatronic within the backstage area, posting a YouTube screenshot, 4chan thread, and even their own drawings of this now named Sparky the dog. It seemed, at least to the creator of this blog, that Koala was trying to create some sort of horror story or even their own creepypasta of the FNAF game. Obviously, many people are going to get skeptical, thinking Koala was just talking about Bonnie or Golden Freddy, and they were just mistaking them as a dog, until this picture would be posted. This was undeniable proof that Sparky the dog existed. This would be taken in the backstage cameras. He's not very visible, but Sparky the dog was hiding at that door. After this, people soon began to try to find him in their own playthroughs of the game, with some claiming they even got jump scared by him, while others tried to explain he was more of a passive character that doesn't attack the player but instead is simply an Easter egg for the next game. They would even give tips on how to summon Sparky as well, but these posts were all deleted. In the end, it was shown that this was nothing more than just Photoshop. There was a fan recreation of what Sparky the dog would look like, and I kinda like it. It definitely takes inspiration from Chipper and Sons Limber Co., a game that Scott previously made. So, how do I say this without sounding like a complete idiot? I was around 13 during the original release of the first game, and oh wow, I'm getting old. But during my youth, there was a bunch of these FNAF in real life photos circling around the internet, with the most popular being this Freddy Fazbear pizza place. I'm not saying that I thought this was a real place, since my brain was obviously just so massive to ever believe such a thing, but a lot of people thought this was an actual place. It's not though. The first game was certainly popular, but it was still relatively new with an emerging fanbase being established. Now, with the second game being released just a few months later, the theories and hoaxes would begin to ramp up, especially due to the introduction of the new animatronics and this new concept of after-night minigames. Now, within the second game, there are a couple of things that we learned. For one, this place is actually the prequel to the original games. Something no one would have expected, especially with the designs of these new toy animatronics looking much more modern. Let's jump straight into the theories though. The shadow animatronics are, to this day, unexplained as what they really are. Even on the FNAF wiki, it states them as, quote, "The shadow animatronics are ghost-like entities with an unknown place of origins, whereabouts, and history functions. Shadow Freddy and RWQFSFASXC are the only two reoccurring shadow animatronics from throughout the series. Now, RWQ blah 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 basically is a shadow version of Toy Bonnie, and you might be wondering why its name is that. In the source code, That is actually what it's called, and even, can't believe I'm bringing this up again, FNAF World, its name is the same exact string of letters. Surprisingly, FNAF World, although it isn't canon, still helps people understand this game just a little bit more. Now, Shadow Freddy has the same exact model as Golden Freddy, with the only differences being the colors. There are theories based on the shadow animatronics, based on the books and FNAF AR, due to the concept of remnant and agony. A concept I won't be talking about because my head isn't designed for that level of thinking. I also don't want to bring up theories that happened a long time after the games, since we would end up knowing a lot of new information. This video is simply talking about the theories and hoaxes of each games when they were first released. Now, the simplest theory about these two is very similar to Golden Freddy, in that they were either a hallucination or spirits. Unlike Golden Freddy, they can't attack you at all, at least not with a jump scare. All they can do is crash your game if you stare at them for too long, but the way they do it is strange. They don't jump scare you, they don't cause any weird messages to pop up on screen, they don't really do anything, except just exist. In the first entry, Golden Freddy would crash your game, but in the second one, he could only make us lose the game by jump scaring us. People made a theory that the shadow animatronics could be workers killed by the animatronics with them taking the form of those who killed them. So Shadow Freddy died because of either Freddy or Golden Freddy, with Shadow Bonnie dying because of Toy Bonnie. Since they were adult workers, they couldn't fit within the animatronics due to their endoskeletons. It's easier to hide a child's body, not a fully grown adult. So, to cover up what happened in the restaurant, they would bury the body somewhere else near the establishment, resulting in the spirits of the workers to stay within the restaurant, unable to do much due to them not being able to possess any animatronic, just a shadow of their former selves. There was also the theory that Shadow Freddy was the real victim of the bite of 87, but then who's Shadow Bonnie supposed to be? A lot of confusing stuff that doesn't really make sense, yada yada yada. Also, this theory wouldn't really make sense since the purple guy, or William Afton, was murdering children and had no real reason to attack an adult, unless one of those adults was a witness to one of his crimes. Then I could actually give a reason, but other than that, I just can't see why William Afton would try to go for an adult. Anyways, the player is a night guard named Jeremy Fitzgerald. We don't actually know who the victim of the bite of 87 was. It was never stated to be a child or an adult, so honestly, it could be anyone. Now, the phone calls we get throughout the night reveal quite a lot of information. On night 1, we found out that the new toy animatronics were designed to have quite a few advanced mechanics, such as facial recognition, advanced mobility to walk around during the day, and they are tied to some sort of criminal database, being able to detect predators from a distance. This sounds like a very good system to invest in, but in the very same phone call, they talk about how there's some issues with them. They try explaining the behaviors of the animatronics, stating that they were programmed to walk only in the daytime, but they weren't really told what to do during the night. So when they're put in a quiet room at night, they actively try to seek out what I'm assuming is the party. Then there's the issue that the animatronics might view us as an endoskeleton without a costume, which is why they might try to stuff us into an animatronic suit. Neat. On night 4, it seems that someone may have tampered with their facial recognition system and have been acting unusual, almost aggressive towards the staff. Although with kids, they act completely fine. I wonder why these animatronics would ever hate adults. Night 5, there was a day shift position that just became quote-unquote available, hinting someone basically has something bad happen to them. If they were just to quit, there wouldn't be this little pause before they say available. Now, night 6 is where we really need to pay attention. Someone was wearing a suit, a yellow one. I wonder if this is any old Springlock suit that a certain purple man was wearing to run around giving kids a bad day. The animatronics aren't acting right at all. This is the part that's interesting though. Tomorrow, at a birthday party, we are going to have to work the day shift. We need to wear a uniform and stick close to the animatronics. I wonder why the animatronics would ever want to attack a Freddy Fazbear's worker who had a uniform. Basically, this theory is saying that after night 6, we, the player, Jeremy, go to work at that day shift. Since we were instructed to be close to the animatronics, one of them, we aren't completely sure which one, but one animatronic decided that our frontal lobe was looking like a delicious snack and took a quick little nibble on our head. If you're wondering about the time of this game, after beating night 6, we get this overtime paycheck, which says the date November 13th, 1987. Bringing us back to our previous Who Did the Bite of 87 theories, the Foxy and Freddy from the first game were both most likely in the parts and service room since they wouldn't be used at these parties. So that leaves the person who did the bite to most likely be one of the newer toy animatronics. Based on Mango's jump scare alone, they dangle from the roof, somehow, and swoop down to bite your head. Or maybe, just maybe, nibble on that juicy little frontal lobe that some certain worker had. This basically ties two theories together, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they go hand in hand. You could say Jeremy was the victim of the bite of 87 while saying a different animatronic did it, and the opposite is true as well. You might be saying that this doesn't really make sense. Jeremy works on night 7, so how is he killed on a day shift if he works that same night? Well, if you read the pink slip closely, at the end of night 7, it says, "Note, first day on the job, really?" Showing that for some reason, Jeremy didn't work that night shift and someone else did. Sorry, Jeremy, but there was another theory that Jeremy was actually the purple guy. Why? I don't know, we had no other leads, so yeah, he was literally the only person we could choose at this point. The purple guy was a mysterious figure within the minigames that we didn't have that much information on, but some people speculated that he worked in a pizzeria due to him having a badge. Don't worry, there are quite a few theories based only about you soon. Since Jeremy was working as a night guard, he would have had access to a lot of locations within the building. It wouldn't be that hard for him to dress up as an animatronic to lure kids to the back room or hide their bodies within the suits. This would have also explained why they were acting strange around adults and even why they were attacking you specifically in your office. But this would be disproven since the purple guy's real identity would be found out. Talking about him more though, there's also the theory that the phone guy was the purple guy due to him having this badge, which, like I said, people speculated he worked for the pizzeria, as well as having this phone looking thing in his hand. This theory has a lot of holes though. For example, the phone guy dies in the first game due to one of 5 original animatronics, but we know that the purple guy actually dies due to being trapped within the spring-lock suit of Bonnie. Or Spring Bonnie, same thing. Of course, we could have known that at the time, but now it's obvious that they can't be the same character. There was also the Pink Man sprite, which is a different color from the normal purple guy. People thought that this could be his accomplice or even a whole separate serial killer, potentially being the one who is tampering with the animatronics to do his bidding for him while the purple guy kills directly. What actually was the case was that this was the same person, just using a lighter shade of purple for some reason. In the minigame where you give cake to children, you'll notice he's a lighter purple color, more like a lavender. But this is most likely done so he's visible, or else he could be too similar to his purple car and just blend in too much, which would just end up making the scene be very confusing. Okay, I get it. Foxy is one of the most beloved characters, based on my polls at least, but he is not a good guy. This theory says that the Foxy jump scare isn't actually meant to hurt you, but instead it's just him trying to hug you, which is something that isn't true at all. Technically, you could say that none of the animatronics are quote-unquote evil or even necessarily bad, since they are souls of children unalived by this bunny-loving sociopath. But they are literally all hunting you down, so I wouldn't qualify any of them to be good either, and that includes Foxy. Now this next theory was actually something that was kind of true. If you didn't realize, Golden Freddy is quite a unique character compared to the other animatronics, not due to his designs, but just how out of place he felt. So, people began saying that there was actually a whole bunch of these golden animatronics for each of these characters in a place before FNAF 2. A lot of people believed that since he could change the Golden Freddy AI, that meant he was a real suit, and therefore there could be others like him. Of course, later we found out about the Springlock suits of Fredbear and Spring Bonnie existing, so technically this was true. Just not entirely true. Now, let's talk about the toy animatronics. In the Give Gifts Give Life minigame, we see that the puppet seemingly puts the dead children within the original Chica, Foxy, Freddy, and Bonnie suits, with this resulting in them being forced to possess the animatronics, but it's not done in a malicious way, as the children's souls were not able to be put to rest due to how they all died at the hands of the purple guy. The puppet wants to help them to get what they want, which ultimately is to make the killer pay for what he did. So, this basically paints a picture of at least 5 or 6 children who were the victims of the purple guy, including the puppet, as well as Golden Freddy, who jump scares us after this minigame. In total, there are 13 animatronics within this game, but let's take out the shadow animatronics for now, leaving us with 11 animatronics. Meaning, in this theory, that if the toy animatronics were also possessed, there would have to be a total of at least 11 children, which honestly is a lot of bodies to seemingly hide and get away with. This makes sense due to how the animatronics during the daytime seem to be aggressive against anyone who's an adult, but normal when interacting with children. This could be due to the purple guy tampering with their coding, since it was stated multiple times that someone was messing with the animatronics a lot for some reason. However, in the Save Them minigame, we play as Withered Freddy and see, presumably, child bodies within a restaurant while we follow the puppet. This is the entire map of the minigame. In it, we can find out some things. There are a total of 5 bodies scattered around in the rooms, with the withered animatronics in the closet, but also showing Golden Freddy as well for some reason. If we are assuming that the puppet was already possessed at this point, these 5 children could be used to possess the withered animatronics along with Golden Freddy. Although we may be controlling Freddy's movements, that does not necessarily mean that we are possessed at this point yet, since the animatronics were known to be able to move around by themselves. In the second theory about the toy animatronics, it basically states that they were never possessed at all, but instead were being controlled by the puppet the whole time. The puppet was known to have more supernatural powers due to them giving life to the animatronics and seemingly being able to convince or control them to do what they want. What do you think though? Were there only 5 or 6 victims at this time, or do you think there was a lot more that we just haven't seen directly? Also, just because I know someone's going to bring this up, in the Foxy Go 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 minigame, there are 5 children shown as well, but it's not really clear if these are 5 new kids or just pushing the idea that 5 children were taken away originally. Anyways, let's move on to the hoaxes. Around late 2014, a YouTube video would show this quote-unquote hidden animatronic that was supposed to be the purple guy. I'm pretty sure this is the original channel that posted this hoax, with a lot of their more popular videos seeming to be either fake jump scares they made, or videos reversed for some reason show some sort of secret message. Now, this was most likely not done to be serious and was probably done as a joke, but some people did believe that this was true. They used the Golden Freddy body, put a badge on his chest, replaced his head with Choi Chica's, and then made him completely purple. It's a pretty unique concept that was fun to explore. However, it wouldn't really make sense since, let's be honest, the purple guy was supposed to be human, so why would he suddenly become an animatronic? It wasn't just the purple guy animatronic either. This channel would also show what would happen if Toy Chica attacked you if she had a beak, and what these shadow animatronics would look like if they were actually in the game. What you need to understand is that with these videos getting thousands of views, a lot of children are gonna be watching them, and kids are kind of... well, they're idiots. And if you're a kid watching this video, I'm making fun of myself at the time too, since I believed a lot of these when they first came out. I didn't realize just how many of these videos this channel made to popularize a lot of the more well-known hoaxes from before. There was this FNAF film that apparently was being made, which was shown in this 45-second clip of storage boxes being moved with the Freddy Fazbear Pizza logo on it. I don't know how they did this, but it was pretty believable. Do you remember that gray marionette that was also spreading around, where you would see this face when you get jump scared? Of course, this was a hoax as well, but it is crazy how deep this rabbit hole goes based on just this single channel alone. Shadow Freddy and Shadow Bonnie are very much real in the games, but there was a rumor that Shadow Balloon Boy also existed, only in the mobile games though, but ultimately was proven false. There was also this really weird golden toy Freddy animatronic, which was obviously faked. I feel as though the second game is really where the fandom was growing rapidly, and that's not to say it wasn't already popular due to the first game. Just that with all the theories, game theory, videos on it, many people started to obsess over the series, which is why people wanted more of everything, more games to play, more lore to talk about, and more animatronics to love. So obviously, when people started to make these kinds of hoaxes of fake animatronics, people started to stick to them, which only boosted their popularity even more. Sparky the dog, in my opinion, was the best hoax so far, due to just how believable it actually was. The others though, not so much, but they somehow still gained an immense amount of popularity due to people wanting more from the series. I'll be honest, in my opinion, if Scott ended the series at FNAF 3, it most likely would have been one of the best places for it to finish, since it answers a lot of questions, as well as leaving things in a semi-happy place. The children's souls are set free, Springtrap is revealed to be the killer who was forced to suffer as he should, and in the end, the place gets set ablaze, burning down not only the building, but also all the sins that William Afton has committed. At least, that's what should have happened. When he said, "I always come back," that's not something that should have been taken in a literal sense. William Afton has literally came back time after time after time, and it honestly should be a superpower at this point. He should literally have the word immortality written on him since he just cannot disappear at all. I like this series, trust me. I've been a fan since I was 13. I really love this series. But William should have died and stayed dead within the fire in FNAF 3. It has gone so bad that it has become its own meme, sparking countless posts making fun of this new trope. But anyways, that being said, Springtrap is honestly my all-time favorite animatronic in the whole series due to how unsettling it is. He is literally a rotting, withered version of the Spring Bonnie suit, but with the decaying corpse of a serial killer within his body. You could even see a skull inside of Springtrap's mouth. This design is honestly one of the most well done, with the lore only adding to the creepiness of it all. Of course now, we know exactly how Springtrap looks, but during its very first teaser trailer, no one really knew what this thing was supposed to be. With its greenish yellowish color, people assumed it was an old withered version of either Foxy, Freddy, or Golden Freddy due to the shape of its design when it's brightened up. Within the FNAF 3 teaser however, we see Springtrap for the first time spazzing out, and his jump scare near the end. People notice his jump scare isn't really something that looks like he's attacking us, but rather just walking into the room. This resulted in a few theories as well. There was this other teaser which showed all the toy animatronics scrapped with their parts put within this box. Someone made a theory that instead of this new animatronic Springtrap killing us directly, that instead they enter our office to shut off the lights and take one piece within this box. Every time they take a piece of an animatronic, they attempt to rebuild them, which results in a new animatronic coming to get you. This is honestly a pretty cool concept that unfortunately wasn't explored. If there's any people who want to build a fan game based on this design, I highly recommend it. That box that was shown in the office was purely just aesthetic and didn't really have any gameplay significance at all. Another theory is that since the parts are all broken, he isn't making new animatronics but rather taking parts for himself. For example, taking a leg which would be used to allow him to walk around faster. Springtrap wasn't always what people knew him as. Salvage was actually the first name the community called him due to a theory based on what he was made out of. People thought that he was an animatronic made with the parts of other animatronics due to how withered and broken he looked. As well as people trying to figure out why there was a box of broken parts in the office. Within the trailer, there were words that could be shown on screen, like the infamous, "He always comes back." This theory was true, but people were saying that it was most likely the purple guy coming back, somehow, just not understanding how exactly they were going to do that. Some were even saying that this was going to be the return of the phone guy from the first game, but as much as I wish that could happen, he's probably never going to be able to return, sadly. Rest in peace, phone guy. In the Happiest Day minigame, we play as a child and walk around seeing these other children wearing some masks, none of which belonging to the previously known animatronics. This made people speculate that Scott was going to create a new series based within his universe with a new franchise. Once again, based on the alligator, pig, whatever these two other kids are supposed to be. Possibly, this alligator was foreshadowing security breach due to Monty being okay, that's a joke. There's no way they would have thought that far ahead, but it's pretty funny to think about. There honestly wasn't that many popular theories that were just crazy or disproven that well in the third game. I can't wait to see the comments talking about some crazy theory I never heard about that was disproven that I just completely forgot about for some reason. But yeah, honestly, this third game was pretty simple in its message. The purple guy tried to break apart the animatronics, which led to their spirits haunting him, causing him to run into the spring body suit, presumably the same one he used to murder the children, thinking it's going to be able to scare them off, but it malfunctions, crushing him inside. There's not much to make theories about other than possible intentions for these murders, but from what we know so far about the series, there wasn't really any concrete leads at this point. Though in the next game, we would have some more information as to why, but this is just going to be based on the game that was presented during this time. There was this post that I found that tried to explain why the purple guy did what he did. Basically, to summarize the theory, the purple guy was a guard at a pizzeria who had to hear children constantly screaming over and over again, every single day, while they would continuously come up to him just to annoy him even more, saying he went insane and decided to play whack-a-mole with some kids' heads, going bonk around 5 times. Was it a serious theory? Probably not. Like I said, there weren't that many theories that were popularized based on this game due to it being pretty well laid out. So let's move on to the hoaxes. There was only 2 real hoaxes that I could find about this game, and that was the Green Phantom Bonnie animatronic, which I have no idea why this became a thing. It seems like the more the series progressed, the more of the recolored version of the animatronics would show up to try and act like some sort of hidden concept or animatronic that Scott put into the games. The second hoax is a teaser, and one that is honestly a pretty cool concept that I wish Scott could try out, and that was this amusement park called Freddyland. Of course, we now know that FNAF 3 took place in some sort of horror attraction, but the idea that a game would take place in an amusement park is something that would honestly work pretty well with the lore. Not to give people ideas, but amusement parks would be a pretty good place that a fictional character like the purple guy could potentially want as a hunting ground, due to the abundance of victims as well as mascots already being popularized within these kinds of parks. Just look at Disneyland with their animatronics. Though, these animatronics are usually not able to have guests near them as they're purely aesthetic. But imagine a Freddyland where the animatronics walk around, kind of how like the people would dress up like mascots within Disney, being able to talk and sing with guests. But when the lights go out and all the guests leave, there's one place they start to become attracted to. The security desk, which has a camera system that emits the only light within this dark park. I have no idea what kind of mechanics or design this place would have, but with such an open area, there's so much room for exploration with new concepts that weren't really touched on before. This concept was actually something that interested me quite a bit, so I tried looking for some sort of fan game based on that. But the only really good FNAF fan game that I could find that took place at an amusement park that interested me was this game called Taylorland, which is probably something I'll be talking about in the future. This isn't the end of the series, and trust me, yes, things slowed down in FNAF 3 since there wasn't really many theories and hoaxes around this time, but this was at a point where the series was able to be understood. Things quickly changed with the next few games. This video was really fun to make, going back to research some of the older fan theories, and seeing how much we just really did not know about the series at that point really surprised me. It felt really weird to call Purple Guy instead of William Afton. Yes, there are things we learned in the future, but wow, there's still so many things that we honestly do not know to this day, like what are the phantom animatronics? Anyways, if there's something you thought I got wrong, something you disagree with, a theory you hate, or just want to argue in the comments about, feel free to do so, just don't tag anyone personally. If you liked this video, like and subscribe. In the meantime, it was really tiring to finish editing everything, so I'm going to take a nap. Peace.